absolutely devastating.
This is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn broadcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my ass while I win this match.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to G.W.R. Gonzo'S Wrestling Room, Monday, June 19, 2023. Excuse me. We've got quite a few things we're going to talk about tonight.
Yes.
Also, right after this show, at 8 o'clock, we're going to air the DCCW and WCWO Juneteenth show from last Saturday.
Yep.
We'll air it live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter tonight. So,
yeah,
looking forward to that as well.
That was a great show. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Marcus, I know you went to a show Friday night.
Friday
Talk
night.
about it a little bit.
All righty. My friends from down south was in Kokomo Friday night. The Micro Wrestling Federation came to Kokomo Friday night. Very, very respectful and hospitable. I don't know. They were very good to us. Can't think of the word, or I can't say the word, but anyway, you know what I'm saying. Very respectful. Glad to see us. Was glad to see them. And they put on a heck of a show. The only difference between the show Friday night and the show in Pigeon Forge is a tourist town, and that's a tourist fan group. Whereas Friday, we were in a bar-type setting with booze flowing freely, and it was a whole different experience. But it was a good show. So, I got this. The matches that took place. Little Chono defeated Pinky Shortcake. The Micro Tiger defeated Jamaica Joe and Zach Presley in a three-way dance. Baby Jesus defeated Micro Champion Psycho via DQ. And then the main event was Zach Presley, Baby Jesus, and Little Chono defeating Psycho, Pinky Shortcake, and Jamaica Joe in a six-person tag team. So, sellout crowd. We wasn't sure at first it was going to be. Because when we got there, they said that they had 45 front row seats already paid for. And by 20 till 8, it's Kelly and about 14 bikers, and they were in the second row, so they had general admission. But then all of a sudden, people just start showing up. So I don't know why everybody waits till the last minute to ever come to these things. But, I mean, even when we're broadcasting, you see that. So
yeah, we've seen that happen before. Yeah, we was at a show and felt bad for the promoter because, man, 20 minutes before the show, like 25 people there. And then by 20 minutes after the time the show was going to start, which it did start, we was doing more promos, it was like 80 people, 90 people walked in the door. And I'm like, man, Chris can't believe this. So I know what you mean with that. We also, all three of us got to, which Chris, we're going to air the show for us here in just a little bit. But got to see a really good show this past weekend, Saturday, here in Muncie. WCWO and DCCW together putting on a show there at Juneteenth, free show for everybody, and had a good crowd and had a great show. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
What was the match of the day for? I think that the main event was the match.
The main event or the extra?
I think the main event, not the bonus match.
I think the main event was a solid 1, and the bonus match was a solid 2. But that's not taking away from any of those other matches because they were all top quality.
Yeah, it was all good matches. I tell you, a match that I really enjoyed was the I was going to say it's a no disqualification match, but it was never called that. But they didn't get into the ring till about the end. It was Chris, help me with the names.
Russian Assassin, that one.
Yeah, Russian Assassin against TJ Powers.
TJ Powers, yep.
I really enjoyed that match. I mean, I thought they did a great job getting the crowd involved, and I thought it was a good match. And on paper, a lot of people might have thought that was going to be a great match per se, but I thought it was a really good match.
Well, they did what they had to do to make that match work, and it worked. So
it did.
they were up in the bleachers, and off ring posts, off light posts, off
Yeah, yeah, a little bit of
chairs
everything.
were thrown, and yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that show. Okay, Chris, you got anything on WCWO, DCCW?
Oh no, I thought it was a great show and had a good crowd over there.
Yes.
It always amazes me when you're at a festival like that. When you show first gets ready to start, you kind of look around and there's a bunch of people at the festival and everything, but there ain't a whole lot of people sitting in the like stands over where the wrestling is, and then seems like as soon as that the ring announcer got up there and they start hearing some music playing over there, it's just like
Yeah.
a lot of people kind of flock over there to see what's going on, and most of the people that came over there to check it out stayed there for the whole show, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like I told you, Chris, especially when we got ready to leave, because we're doing the show and everything. I'm not watching the rest of the crowd. That festival, I think there was double the people at the festival this year than was there last year. There was a ton.
It was full.
There was a ton of people there in that park, man. There was a ton of people. It was parked everywhere, and it wasn't that way last year. I mean, we had a good crowd at the wrestling show, had a good crowd at the festival, but I think it doubled in size this year. I really do. So it was really good. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Kelly and I enjoyed it really well too. And for being 84 degrees, the weather was just perfect. The breeze blowing, it never really got hot, and we were in the shade. And
yeah, it was a real nice day out.
Yeah, that breeze was.
It wasn't too hot, but it also wasn't real cool. It was nice out.
Yeah. Well, I think next I'll go into a kind of a rundown of what happened this week in pro wrestling here on the TV and stuff, and then we'll move on from there. Don't have a lot of stuff. All the shows this week that I watched were actually really good. Monday Night Raw was a good show. Thought it did a good job getting everything ready for Money in the Bank. Probably they did get a match set up with Cody and Dom going to be at Money in the Bank, so I thought that was good. And then had a great tag team match. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defended their titles against Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. Fantastic match. They won that match. It was a really good match, really good show. Moving on from there, NXT had a big announcement. Braun Breaker had challenged Seth Rollins the week before. Seth Rollins came on via camera and accepted the challenge and will be wrestling Tuesday night on NXT, putting up his title against Braun Breaker. And it's a special the next 2 weeks, NXT Gold Rush. We're going to have a bunch of title matches and special matches for the next 2 weeks. So that was really good. NXT just keeps getting better and better. One of the better shows, I think. AEW had a strong show this week. Match of the night on there was Adam Cole versus MJF, and a great match. Ended up being a 30-minute draw. I thought it was a real solid show. Next, come up to SmackDown. Right now, to me, it's my favorite show to watch, and it's because of the storylines with the Usos and how they're using the Usos and using everything with Jimmy and Jay and Roman Reigns and Solo, and they sprinkle in Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was backstage and just give him a nod. That it's all that kind of stuff. And they set up a match for Money in the Bank on July 1st. It's going to be called Civil War. It's the Usos, Jay and Jimmy against Solo and Roman Reigns. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that. Saturday night had the debut of AEW Collision. Started off with CM Punk coming back, did a promo. Pretty solid promo, pretty good. Probably the match of the week that I seen was two former WWE guys, Buddy Murphy and Andrade. And it was a really good match. It was probably 22 minutes long. And I think it was probably the match of the week. Collision was a strong show. I'm interested to see what the ratings are going to be for a Saturday night at 8 o'clock. I don't know how it's going to do, but we'll see. And then at 11 o'clock, I watched Game Changer Wrestling on pay-per-view. And, of course, I was excited with some of the things I seen. I even called Marcus the next day to tell him about it. One thing that I didn't get to see, well, the show started at 11, and I was having trouble with my feed, so I didn't get it to about 11:30. One of the first matches, one of our Indiana wrestlers was on the show. Cole Radrick was on that show out in California. He was on, I think, the first match of the night, which I didn't get to see. But the highlights was a wrestler by the name of Jack Cartwheel. I'd seen him once before. in a 6-way match, which he was solid. But in this 3-way match, he was outstanding. He look him up on YouTube. He does some things that I've never seen anybody else do. Chris checked it out, and the dude's athletic as hell. I'll tell you, just do some incredible things. And then the main thing that I called Marcus about, and
Does a lot of cartwheels.
Oh yeah, he does. But from all different positions, all different places. That Chris seen and I called Marcus about was a wrestler by the name of Santana Jackson. He's a Michael Jackson impersonator, pretty well made up, looks like Michael Jackson. And it was funny, it was entertaining. He's athletic. If you like gimmicks and stuff like that, definitely look on YouTube and check him out. He's all over YouTube. But he's very good. I was very entertained. There was a segment there where he gets beat up and thrown out of the ring, and then all of a sudden the Thriller music starts playing, and then comes up off the floor. And he's got the red Thriller jacket on, and he's got the werewolf mask on, and gets in the ring and wrestles that way for a couple minutes. So it was pretty interesting. And it was really good. And then the women's match, which I don't know what Chris thought. I thought the first 3 or 4 minutes I started watching, I said, man, this match ain't gonna be very good. They're moving really slow. But as the match went on, it was probably a 15 or 20-minute match, and it was really good. And it was Rina Yamashita against Maki Ito. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not gonna guarantee that I am, but it was very entertaining. Got to see the pizza cutter and some slicing used up. And at this venue, evidently they can't use light tubes because there's no light tubes used, and usually they're used. A lot of doors, still a lot of hardcore stuff, but it was a real good show. The more that I see Game Changer Wrestling, the more I'm kind of believing in it as a viable product. Okay, next, I think we'll go to the Saturday Night Main Event stuff. That's okay. And Marcus, if you want to lead off.
I gotta go over to page 4. All right. I only went up to the first, I go up to 14 of them. I just started writing stuff down because I've seen all those. I got all these on VHS tapes, most of them. The later ones in the 2000s, I do not, but all the originals. So I seen all these live the day they aired and watched them to death growing up. But I did highlights from the first 14 plus the main event, which was we'll get into that. Okay. Here was my favorites from what I remembered. On number 1, we had 2 face turns, if you can remember right. George Steele was in a 6-man tag team, and I couldn't tell you, it was Bundy and Studd, I think. But anyway, they turned on him, so Lou Albano came out and took on George Steele as his protege. So George, even though he didn't, I think George Steele been wrestling longer than Albano, but anyhow.
Yeah.
And so George Steele became a face, and that was right after WrestleMania 1 and Piper's Pit and Paul Orndorff, and they turned on Paul Orndorff, and Mr. T and Hogan showed up, and Orndorff became a face. So we had 2 face turns that night.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was also the night Hogan took on Cowboy Bob Orton. Him still wearing that cast. Months later, they played that forever. If you ever get around to it, Chris, on Tuesday Night Titans, they even had a doctor's visit with about that cast. So,
Yeah.
All right. Saturday night's main event number 2, the marriage of Uncle Elmer. And Uncle Elmer wrestled a local guy in Jerry Valiant. Jerry Valiant worked for Bruiser in Indianapolis.
Yes.
And then became a road agent, I think, for the WWE or something anyway. But he pinned him in 6 seconds, which beat what they said, the 9-second Bundy match at WrestleMania 1. But if you actually, that match took more than 9 seconds in WrestleMania 1. But it was a 6-second match. Number 3 was the Piper's Pit with the Hillbillies, because Piper come out to interrupt the wedding at number 2 and made some snide remark, and Jesse Ventura agreed with him. So they had the Piper's Pit with the Hillbillies setting up for number 4, which had a change because the 3 Hillbillies that was in Piper's Pit was not the 3 Hillbillies that wrestled at number 4. They changed Junior out for Luke, or Luke out for Junior. I don't remember.
Yeah, yep.
So they changed out the 3rd guy, but then the It was Piper, Orton, and Ventura taking on the three hillbillies. And the first of many Randy Savage versus George Steele matches, because now George Steele is going after Elizabeth, and they played that for ever. Seth
Yeah,
George
they did.
Savage. And the weird thing about it is the match that Savage and Steele had at WrestleMania 2, they ran the same match in Indianapolis. It move for move.
Yeah.
When Savage and Steele did that at a house show in Indy, it was the exact same match. I'm sitting there shaking my head, and it's like, this is a WrestleMania. They did the exact match because Savage was by the paper. He wrote his moves down, and they ran that forever. You want me to keep going? I got several.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 5. What we got here? Oh, now we're setting up for WrestleMania 2. You got Mr. T versus Cowboy Bob Orton in the boxing match. That whole boxing shit. I'm sorry. As I told you, I wasn't a fan of T coming in any more than Piper was. And this whole boxing crap was just crap. That's all it was just crap.
Well,
So,
and see, the thing of it is, Piper actually did box. Piper actually did fight in Golden Gloves. Piper did. Before his, well, maybe during, because he started wrestling when he was like 16 or 17, but he had boxed before.
he didn't like T.
No,
It
he was
very obvious, even when they did. Have you watched The Most Treasures yet?
Yep.
And seen?
No, I haven't seen.
Oh, you haven't seen the Piper one yet? No, I got
No.
you.
Well,
I get caught up so we could talk about stuff.
I seen bits and pieces. I seen the segment where with his daughter,
Right.
and they get the is it the bagpipes? I
Yeah.
can't remember what it was. I think it was the bagpipes.
So anyway, so that was what number 5 was. Number 6, what do I got? Oh, King Kong Bundy versus Uncle Elmer. They did the weigh-in. Uncle Elmer's eating that like gigantically large bucket of chicken.
Yeah.
And that was the match that Jake Roberts warned him not to do, and they said do it anyway. And he literally knocked out Steamboat on the concrete floor before the match even started. That's where he DDT'd him out there on the cement and legitimately knocked him out.
Yeah.
And Snake said not to do it, and they said do it anyway. And well, it happened what they said would happen. Okay, number 7.
Yeah, the way Jake did that DDT, there was no way of protecting yourself. And he tried to tell them, and they wouldn't listen. And like you said, exactly what he said it was going to happen happened.
So yeah, if you look at the record book, because I went back and looked at it, that match is labeled with 0 seconds because it never happened.
Yeah.
So, okay, Saturday night's main event number 7. Evidently, Orton has turned heel again, and then now we're fighting that Orton coming out with, or Orndorff, sorry, Paul Orndorff coming out with Hogan's theme music. So that was Hogan and Orndorff number 1, and Jake and Steamboat number 2, the match that actually was supposed to happen before. But if I remember right, there's like a 6 months difference between these two shows. That's why Steamboat had plenty of time to heal back up. Number 8, I had to go back and look at it. Piper is now a good guy, and he took on Bob Orton in number 8. Number 9, George Steele and Randy Savage, number 2, for the Saturday night main events. And that was the Hogan-Orndorff cage match, where they both touched the floor at the same time, 2 referees. Number 10, the third time Steele and Savage wrestled on Saturday night's main event. See, they were at that death.
Yeah.
Battle Royal, Hercules won that one. And all I wrote down on number 11 was that was the 4th time that Savage and Steele wrestled each other on Saturday night's main events. So that and they even took that all the way to WrestleMania 3 when Steamboat lost the title because Steele was out there for that, kept the ring bell from being used. And then I think they finally said, hey, we need to drop it.
Yeah.
But, because here at number 12, Bundy taking on Orndorff, which is weird because evidently Orndorff went back to face. But then that's when the Mega Powers started.
Yeah.
when they all attacked Savage and Elizabeth went and got Hogan. So that was number 12. All right, number 13, Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy, where Hogan lost via countout because Bobby Heenan kept him from getting back in the ring.
Yeah.
And number 14, and there's an interesting fact about 14, that was the Hogan Bundy rematch. That aired the same night. Me and my dad was in Indianapolis that night because Hogan showed up that night. Madison Square Gardens, Market Square Arena.
Yeah.
They always get it backwards. And Hogan took on One Man Gang that night, but they were setting up for the main event that took place in Indianapolis when Hogan dropped the belt to Andre. They set it up on that day with Hogan versus One Man Gang. But that same night, they were running Saturday Night Main Event on the TV. So, and then we all know what happened at the main event. Crippled Breeze, DiBiase buying the belt. And
Yep.
I wasn't there. Different time in my life. I don't know why. I think I had to work. I can't remember why I wasn't there.
I watched it on TV.
I did too the day after because they blacked it out in Indy. And they showed it on Saturday.
Yeah, I seen it. I think I seen it on satellite. I think my brother had a satellite. We was over at his house and watched it.
Yeah, I watched it the next night at 7:00. But yeah, we didn't make it to Indy, but I do have photos because my mom and dad were in they had darn good seats, but they were opposite camera. So what you seen on the camera, you're seeing the back of it. And
Okay.
I could show you those sometimes. In fact, I got tons of wrestling pictures my mother took from the 80s at WWF house shows. If you ever want to see them sometime,
I think I have some too, somewhere.
But I have some of that main event from when Mom took that night, and that's where I stopped. I mean, we can do another night sometime to do the second half if you want. Yeah, I watched a bunch of those again this week. I forgot how good that series actually was back in the 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah, I went down and I went and watched some, and some I just looked at.
It's out. It's just not working. It's hanging in my bedroom.
So I'll go through some of the that I have. I even put the dates down for them. One of them I liked was episode 30. This was towards the end of the.
Oh yeah, it would have to be that far.
Yeah, it was 1992, February 8th. It was Jake the Snake versus Macho Man in a match, and then also that's the night Sid Justice turned on Hogan.
Was that the night that the Snake bit Savage?
I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it's the same night.
I remember that.
Another one I had down. It was a March 11th, 1989. The Rockers versus the Brainbusters. Hogan versus Bad News Brown. And Miss Elizabeth makes the decision whose corner she's going to be in WrestleMania 5. Whether it's going to be Hawk or Savage.
I forgot about Bad News Brown.
Yep. May 27th, 1989. It was Hogan versus Boss Man in a cage match. Actually, a pretty good cage match. Another interesting fact about that, Zeus shows up and makes his first appearance. And Hogan's going into the cage on the steps, kind of challenging Hogan. He'd already done the movie and everything, but that's the first time he showed up in WWE. That was the debut of Zeus in the WWE. Next one is November 8th, 1992. Shawn Michaels beat the British Bulldog and to win the Intercontinental Championship. And from what I read, that's the only time a championship, other than, of course, that didn't count with DiBiase because he bought the championship. The way they did it, and so it ended up having a tournament. So I guess they didn't count that. That's the only time a championship on TV actually changed hands. They say. I know there was a film of the Rockers won, but I guess it never aired.
Yeah, I think you're right. That probably is the only time Saturday Night Main Event's seen a title change.
Yep, the only time title change.
Why didn't the Rockers win there?
The rope broke.
Yeah, rope broke. Yep. I knew something had happened, but I couldn't remember what.
Another one, January 3rd, 1987, which you already mentioned, the Hogan-Orndorff steel cage in the tie.
Now, were you guys fans of the blue steel cage? I was.
I was too.
Yeah,
It was easier.
that's what I grew up. That's what I grew up watching was the old steel blue cage.
Well, if I had to be at a steel cage match, I'd want that because I can't walk a chain link. Even growing up as a kid, I couldn't climb over a chain link fence. I would need that blue cage because it was more like steps. But yeah, I love that blue cage.
The next one I had was November 2nd, 1985. And I think you had talked about this on a previous one. It was their Halloween episode. And all the wrestlers were in costumes and stuff. And you talked about, where Piper was giving out bowling balls and stuff as trick or treat. But on that show, you had Hogan and Andre versus Bundy and John Studd, which that's
okay.
If people think about it, that's a big attraction.
Well, if you think back, now that you brought that up, the one prior to that was the Uncle Elmer marriage, because it was Hogan and he had SD Jones, I think, taking on Bundy instead. And, well, of course, SD Jones wasn't nothing. So that was the rematch the next month, if I remember right.
Next one I had down was October 4th, 1986, not sex. It was Hogan and Orndorff. This was a regular match before the cage. But also,
Random Rick.
But this is one of my favorite shows. This is the one where Piper kind of turns good guy. And, well, it turned, I think, earlier in the day on Wrestling Challenge or Superstars or whatever.
That's how it worked. Yes. Yep.
Him attacked it. But then Iron Sheik was going to wrestle Piper. They said Piper couldn't wrestle. They had Pedro Morales in the ring. Piper goes down with his crutch, threatens Pedro Morales with the crutch, and then hits Sheik with the crutch before the bell rings, beats the heck out of Sheik and wins the match. And that's what.
About that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. Next one's October 29th, 1988. Jake the Snake defends his wife's honor against Rick Rude. So that was a good one. Rude wearing the ties and all that stuff.
That whole storyline was fantastic.
Well, yeah, it was cool because he comes out of the ring and talking to a woman, and nobody knew that was Jake the Snake, wife, and said, "Who's your favorite wrestler?" And said, "Well, my wrestler, I have a husband that wrestles." Well, who is it? And then Jake the Snake, and then Heenan and her starts talking all kinds. Heenan and Rude starts talking all kinds of crap. So that was a cool storyline. It was really cool.
It was fantastic.
And the last one I have is what you've already kind of brought up, where Macho Man's challenging the Honky Tonk Man, and the Hart Foundation comes out and they're beating the heck out of Savage. They busted the guitar over his head, and Elizabeth leaves and goes and gets Hogan, and that's how the Mega Powers were formed.
Did you watch that? Did you rewatch that? That match went like 30, 40 minutes between the start of that belt and the time Hogan come out?
I just watched it the other night. Yep, sure did.
Because I couldn't
believe how
that went. So,
Random Rick said John Studd was underrated.
I agree.
Funniest and scariest cage moment was when the pyro caught the decorations on fire.
When was that?
You know when that was, Dad?
No, I did not.
When was that, Roy?
Yeah, I'm not.
I guess I don't know if you've heard this or not, but I guess in real life, Andre hated John Studd,
and that may be why he was so underrated, because two giants.
Yeah.
Shoot video. I gotta watch that. I've seen a George Steele shoot interview. Yeah, we was talking about that at one of our meals before a show, Glenn, about how they had to go back and time that out for the TV so Orndorff and Hogan's feet hit the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
Because they went like a half an hour before they went back to it, and I'm sure that's what they were doing, was getting.
Yeah, they had to fix it. Yeah,
up.
I mean, that would be very hard to do.
What's up, Chris?
How's it going, Chris?
What's up, Justin? You want to listen up here in a little bit, Justin? I got you and Chris both in one of my independent matches here in a little bit. And Hogan or Andre didn't like Studd. I think Tony just said that. And
yeah, he did not like Savage. And if you go back and watch that,
he didn't like the Iron Sheik either. If you go back and watch it,
if you go back and
or the Warrior, or I can name about Bible.
Yeah, he would beat they showed footage, because Hogan said he would beat the heck out of Savage. I said, okay. Well, they went back and showed some footage of some matches. He was beating the crap out of Savage. He was punishing them. Well, there's one footage of him. He did it to Sheik and to Savage. Well, he stood on top of him, and you can tell he's putting everything he's got there by the ropes, and he's putting everything. I mean, he's hurting him. I mean, he would hurt him, and you know how bad he could hurt somebody if he wanted to.
Well, he stood on Savage's hair that one time and grabbed his arms. And I'm surprised he didn't scalp Savage, and he couldn't do that to Sheik, so he just had to beat the daylights out of him because
hated Savage wearing the baby oil. He hated the baby oil. Couldn't stand it. And he said sometimes he would hit Savage and say, "This is for Elizabeth." What Hogan said.
Well, and you've heard Bobby Heenan shoot on the Warrior because Warrior would never do. He'd hit Andre at full speed, and finally Andre, his full speed ran into a fist. Oh, vaguely, I do remember that. Yes.
Yep.
Flair and Sting versus Muta and Funk. Yes, that was a fantastic match.
Oh yeah, yes. Hey, Chris, do you have anything for that?
No, I didn't put a list together like that, but I did find a list of the 10 best moments.
Okay.
The Saturday night main event.
Okay.
Number 10, they had Hogan's superplexes, Big Boss Man off the cage in 1989.
That was a good cage match.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had number 9, Mr. Perfect destroying the WWF title.
Yes.
Hammer.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was also in November of '89. That was right before my birthday, actually. Then they had number 8, Jake Roberts, DDT's Steamboat, which we already talked about that a little bit.
Steamboat's lucky he's still alive from that, I'm telling you.
7 was Ultimate Warrior Clotheslines, Hulk Hogan. This was in January of 1990.
That'd be the setup for WrestleMania 6 in their match.
And then number 6 was WWF's first televised cage match not on pay-per-view. And it was January 3rd of 1987. So it was on the 9th episode of, and it was Hogan against Orndorff.
Yep, I have that on there.
Yep.
I didn't realize it wasn't see, that's a good tidbit right there.
And then number 5, Demolition loses tag titles. And that was in 1989 as well, July of '89.
Who did they lose them to? Probably about that time. What would it be? Andre and Haku? Yeah, I bet it was Andre and Haku.
Let's see. It said they were feuding against Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard.
The
title match at the previous Saturday night main event was in a disqualification.
Yeah.
So the follow-up was a 2 out of 3 falls match, which the Brainbuster actually managed to win.
Yep, I remember that one.
Yeah, I do now. You said that.
Then the Mega Powers form, which we've already talked about that. That was number 4. Number 3, the Awesome Rockers against the Brainbusters, and that was in 1989 as well, March of '89. Episode 20 of Saturday Night Main Event.
I think that's where they were supposed to win the titles. Yeah, because of the rope, if I remember right.
Number 2, Sid turns on Terry.
Sid turns on who?
Sorry, what? Sid turns on Terry on the Hogan.
Hogan.
Oh, okay.
That was in '92.
Yep.
And then their number 1 is Randy Savage versus Bret Hart, November of '87.
I had that. I remember seeing that. I didn't write it down, but
the one I did remember on there pretty good was Mr. I didn't think about it until I read it. Was about Mr. Perfect destroying the belt, because I've never seen nothing like that before. You see you see guys like steal the title and take it and stuff, but you never saw somebody actually start destroying it.
Okay. Next time we're going to move to. Let's see, you guys are ready. We're going to move to the independent supercars.
Yeah, I remember that because that set up WrestleMania 2.
And then this, let's see, ECW Mike Awesome versus.
Yeah, I remember that. That was
Oh yeah.
fantastic stuff.
Oh yeah. Austin was pretty good. He
Yep.
just I just kind of fizzled out, made some poor decisions and fizzled out. Who wants to go first? Marcus, you want to go first?
No matter
Go
me.
first.
Okay.
I done a Walter Buckley. I got 16 matches.
Oh, I got 11. I got a TCW event. I got 11.
I got 11 or 12.
Walter, if you're listening, I'm just messing with you, man.
I'm not. 16 matches too much.
It's too much. Hey, it is too many.
But hey, Walter, you're a great guy, man.
You're a great man, buddy.
You give it all you got, man. Keep going.
All right, I'm going to give a disclaimer here. If I forgot to put you in this list, no offense.
Yep.
I know a lot of people all over the place. So I'm going to start from the bottom up. No particular order, really. I had J.W.R. versus Casey Grim Santos. I don't think I've ever seen the two work each other. Casey, in my opinion, is underrated. They use him very well in JICW. He is their cruiserweight champion. But a lot of the other places either don't use him or are not using him like I think they ought to use him, which that's my opinion. But
yeah,
there's a lot of talent there. It's like Christian Cash. They're holding him back. So this one's for you, Chris Chaos. I had Aiden Blackheart and Brutal Ben Baker versus Scrubbies and Chris Chaos in a hardcore match. Now, I've seen versions of this, but I've never seen this four in a group at one time. So now I'm going to bring up a guy you probably are not familiar with. This is a guy we've seen down in Kentucky as a very strong talent in Kentucky. He holds at least one title, if not more. Logan Myers versus Marty Clay. Look up Marty Clay sometime on. He is very similar to our Logan Myers. It's fantastic talent. The match we never seen. Johnny Suede taking on Mike King. I still would like to have seen that take place. All right, here you go. You ready? The highlight reel versus Aaron Atlas and Austin Ryan. Jeremy Hagley taking on Blake Money Wright. All right, Justin Danger, I'm putting you against Buck Sexton. I don't even know if you guys have even met each other. Well, maybe you have. Yeah, you have. You met in Burnsville. So, anyhow, Justin Danger versus Buck Sexton. Christian Cash versus Zay Gates. Justin Terrell versus Jordan James. And here's another one. Dutch Boy Platinum versus Damian DeVille. And then I had Dex Royal taking on Mickey Midas. And
hey, Marcus, could you repeat the Damien DeVille one? Because you kind of cut out. I don't know if other people, we didn't get it. I don't know if other people did or not.
Dutch Boy Platinum versus Damian DeVille. I'm going to tell you a funny story about Friday night. We're sitting there and this girl walked up to us. She says, "Are you Marcus Fine?" I said, "Yes." She says, "I'm friends with Dutch Boy Platinum." He says, "Hi." And those guys, Dutch Boy Logan, and Jake Ullman wrestled in Oklahoma
yes,
this past week. So, but I thought it was fake because this lady walked up and asked it. Well, Dutch Boy Platinum says hi. It's like, okay. And I probably could have gone on and on and on if I thought about it, but
yeah, you saying some names that I forgot, and now I feel bad. But I mean, it's hard.
Well, put your disclaimer on there.
Well, I mean, when you're just doing 10 or 12 matches, it's I've got 12. It's difficult to do, and some of these guys may have faced before, but I haven't seen it. I mean, so Chris, you want to go next?
I can. I had a
Marathon match. Here we go. Marathon night.
Again, this is no particular order or anything, but I had a Dutch Boy Platinum against Jake Oman. They might have faced off before, but I've never seen the two face off. I think that'd be real good. Brody Bodkins versus Congo Kong. I think would be a real good one. That's one. I don't know if they've ever faced it or not, but I've never seen it.
I
They
don't
have.
think so.
Then I had Dex Royal, versus IK3 versus Nate Matthews in a triple threat match.
Buddy.
I think that'd be
Yeah,
real good.
buddy.
And then I had another triple threat match, IK3 Dalton Love versus Jake Oman. I think that'd be a good three together. Then I had Blake Wright versus Jake Oman in a last man standing match. I've seen them go at it before, but I'd like to see a rematch of that because that match they had at Thunder or Blunder was awesome.
Was the last man standing, even though it wasn't set up as one. All right, hang on. You will have to go back.
And then I had a Juwan.
Did you have one after Blake and?
No,
Okay, because you froze up a
Nope.
second, so I didn't know if you said something. Okay.
yeah, I heard it freeze up, so I stopped.
Okay.
Kelly said she was thinking Dex and Nate Matthews.
Yeah, and I don't know why that's never happened, and it may have somewhere. We've just never seen it.
Then I had Juwan Thomas versus Hidari.
Especially the way Hidari is now. Yes.
Yes. That leadoff? Yeah, he's a leadoff tonight. Leadoff home run. I like that. Then I had a tag team match: Savage Love versus the Young Dragons, Del Patricks and Ace Perry. I think that'd be a good one.
That would be good.
And then another tag team match I had was the Highlight Reel versus Kemp and Holiday. We've seen Kemp and Holiday quite a bit.
Yep.
Champion versus champion. Yeah.
Then I had Rachel Armstrong versus Alice Crowley versus Ari Alexander.
I've got the same
You got
match.
that one?
I got the same match.
All right.
I got the same three-way match here.
Logan Myers versus Sage Phillips.
Yes.
And then I had another IK3 match, IK3 and Jake Oman. Hey, I'm putting him to work that night.
I guess you are.
IK3 and Jake Oman in a 1 hour Iron Man match. I think would be freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was a Reds homer, Billy.
We saw them open up a show,
Yeah,
which is great. But I think if you put them in like a 1 hour Iron Man match, it'd be. And then also had Dutch Boy and Nate Matthews in an Iron Man match because we've seen them go at it before, and I think you give them two that kind of time, it'd be awesome.
And Dutch Boy's much more. We've seen him, but he's a much better wrestler now than we seen him last year when he was doing it. So.
Yep. And then I had Luke Savage versus Del Patricks in a hardcore match. I think that'd be real good. And then I did have one more: Jared Kripke versus Ace Perry. I think that'd be a real good one I haven't seen. And that's all mine.
Okay, I've got 12 matches. I've got a lot of stipulations in my matches. Chris stole one of
Do
my
you have a
matches.
dog collar match?
I'll give it again.
You have a dog collar?
I do have a dog collar.
I knew you'd have to have a dog collar.
Actually, I changed it. I'll go through it.
Real quick, Chris Chaos says Chris Chaos versus Luke Savage.
I could see that happening at NGW one of these days, Chris.
Now, I'm going to give a disclaimer. And look, this is just my opinion. And I'm going to say the matches. And I'll even say the reason why I think on some of them why they should be. And I'll go with the very first one. It may give some people, they have to get some salve and put on their ass. That's all right. I don't care.
Listen up, Chris. I know where this is going.
I already told them.
Yep.
I think I want to see Chris Chaos against Ricky Most Wanted Guns. I think there's a story there. I think it would be a very interesting match, and that's what I would like to see. I would like to see somebody put it together. There's no reason why it can't be put together, and that's just my opinion.
NGW, Paul, listen up, buddy.
That's just my opinion. I almost had a dog. I do have a dog collar match, and I had it for two people.
Oh wait, I forgot one.
Okay, go ahead.
I had Mike King versus JKO in a death match.
Okay, still another one, but it's not a
That's
death
all?
match. It's not a death match.
Oh,
I've got the one I've been wanting.
See, I had it wrote down.
Mike King versus JKO in a dog collar match. I've been wanting a dog
There
collar match.
you go. Yes.
Work too.
Fantastic.
See what you guys think about this one. Sage Phillips versus Apollo Star.
Ooh, that'd be
Yes, I've seen it. I have
Have
seen
you?
that. And
Okay.
it's fantastic. Yes.
I want to see that. Cole Radrick versus Logan Myers.
That'd be a
Yes,
good one,
that'd be good too.
This may have happened before, but if it, I don't think I've seen it. Jake Carter versus Dale Patricks.
That'd be a good one.
My three-way
I don't think
women's
it has.
match. Three-way women's match. Alice Crowley versus Ari Alexander versus Rachel Armstrong. My next one is a four-way match. Battle of the Big Men. Brody Botkins versus Hillbilly Jed versus Congo Kong versus Calvin Tankman. And I don't know if the ring would survive, but
I
I'd
know
like
that
to.
ring. Whew.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, you better reinforce that ring big time because you know what happened at the Bearcat with those four big guys in there.
My next one is a tag match. It's Highlight Reel versus Savage Love versus the Dirty Birds and a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Yes, get them all over the building. I love
All
those
over the
matches
building.
too.
That'd be
Like
fun.
I said, keep the glass out. I don't care what you do.
Yeah. My next one was Dutch Boy Platinum and a 2 out of 3 Falls match.
That'd be-
My next one was IK3 versus Nate Matthews in an Iron Man match. 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever we can get. I'd prefer 1 hour. But,
That'd be
I think those guys wrestled at the Dub one time, but that's been years ago now.
Jake Oman versus Blake Wright in a submission match.
Ooh, yeah.
And then my last match I had on here, Carson Drake versus Dex Royal in a cage match, pinfall or submission only. No climbing out of the cage. Even though I think it would be, even though I think Carson Drake would be great at trying to get out of the cage and the way he would play it up and everything. But I would love to see Carson Drake and Dex Royal go at it.
Yeah, that would be good.
And as far as I know, it's never happened, but I'm not saying for sure.
I'm not even sure those
that's
two.
another guy like Carson Drake. I didn't have him on one of mine, and that dude's
Well, when you
real good
mentioned
as well.
when you mentioned a couple of guys from AACW, DeVille, I'd like to see DeVille take on a lot of people. And I spaced it, but and I hope nobody gets mad at me. I mean, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm old.
Well, we may need to do this again about 6 months. Do it again.
Man. Yeah, I think we got a bunch of really good matches on here. But I did have down originally. I'll be honest with you. I had IK3, and no, it wasn't IK3. It was Omen. Let me tell the truth here. Make sure I tell. It was Omen and Blake Wright in the dog collar match originally, and I said no. I wanted Mike King and JKO, so
That
I
makes more
changed
sense.
that to a dog collar. Well, they've been feuding forever, so storyline wise, so
Yeah.
And when Marcus had brought up Hadley earlier, I'd like to see Hadley and Dutch Boy.
I'd forgot about Hadley.
I think Hadley and Dutch Boy going. I've never seen them two. They might have wrestled before. I don't know, but I haven't seen them two go at it. I think that'd be a good.
I'd say an interesting match would be Hadley and Dale Patricks in a dog collar match. Could you imagine the whining and crying and the craziness?
Well, here's what I had. 'Cause I had Hadley with two other people before I put him with Blake Wright. I had him with Mitchell Taylor, Hadley and Mitchell Taylor, and Hadley and Sage Phillips. And then I settled with Hadley and Blake Wright. So I had Justin Terrell taking on Dalton Love at one time, too. That was the only changes I had made. But then I remembered after the Bearcat that I said I'd really like to see Justin Terrell versus Jordan James. So
yeah, there's several guys, and the one that you had, Kristen Cash against
Zay Gates.
Zay Gates, I would love to see that.
Yeah,
and I think those guys could be a good tag team too.
I do too. I agree with you. That would be a really, if you let them just book them on and say, hey man, here's 12 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 12 minutes, whatever.
I'll tell you what, Zay it seems like every time we see him, he just keeps getting better and better. Because I mean, even if like watching him last week in Lebanon, and then watched him and Luke wrestle this past Saturday. I thought it was better this past Saturday than it was the time before. So I mean, it's cool because you can see the improvement in guys, especially like the guys that we've seen so much through like DCCW, WCWO, AACW. The guys that we've seen a lot like that, seeing how much they improve so quick is pretty cool.
Yep.
And see, another thing that's happening is you got those three promotions working together, so they're getting ring time with each other.
Yes.
And that's why they're all getting better, is because promoters are working together, giving them the space, So there you go, Damien. Yeah, I think they ought to book Dutch Boy with you, big time.
I would love to see it.
Yep.
Have you ever met Dutch Boy, Damien?
He's seen him because I think he was there at
Yeah, he was
Kurt
there.
Angle show. Wasn't he there at that one? Not Kurt Angle.
Mick Foley.
Mick Foley. He was there, so I'm sure he's seen Dutch wrestle.
Dutch wrestled Boogeyman that night.
Maybe
No,
Christian
Jordan
Cash.
wrestled Boogeyman
Yeah.
that night.
It was a probably tag match. I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure Dutch Boy was
Yeah, I
there.
think it was a tag match, wasn't it?
You know, Cash versus Elliott. Cash, the current AACW. Elliott, the former open weight. Yeah, I'll put them together. Mr. Jake Elliott's getting married this weekend.
Okay.
So we're going to go to his wedding and then go to Bachelor Night 2.
Also, shout out to Shooting with Shane. Him and his wife had a baby. So
Ramona.
yep.
Yesterday, I think he said.
Prayers to them. Make sure everything. I think everything's good, but just keep out prayers and make sure everything stays good.
Damon said he don't believe he met him, but he's seen him compete.
Yeah, I think you guys would be outstanding.
Yeah, that would,
Well, even Blake Money Wright and Damien DeVille. There's a lot of matchups there.
I think Damian DeVille and Del Patrick's would be good as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so too.
I think their styles would match up real well.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good. Except I don't know if he wants Jackass Damien or Del Patrick's and get hit in the nuts.
That'll happen eventually. Panic and Drill, I guarantee that will take place within the next year, I bet.
I would like to see Panic and the ACW champion.
Cash.
Yes. Yeah. That would be good. I've been impressed with Panic every time I've seen him. The first time I seen him down at the Dub.
I have to think of something. I think Panic and Cash wrestled down at the Dub together. Or in a three-way, I think.
I think so. And that may have been one I seen.
It could have been. Because
I think you're right. I think that was one of the times we was down at the Dub. Yeah, Chris, that'd be a good one too.
Yep.
DeVille and Ace Perry.
Yeah, I think I've got Dutch Boy and Ace Perry. I would love to see that 2 out of 3 falls. I think it'd be outstanding.
Jordan Dye and Logan Myers would be a good one. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Yep.
Yeah, we can come up with thousands of matches, I think. We'll do like they did Saturday and do like Chris did. Work them to death. They're like, hey, get back out there. You got another one.
Yeah, you got another one.
But and that's with this, like on my card.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just he's always, since we started watching all these independent wrestling, he's been one of my favorites to watch.
No doubt, man. He's as good as anybody out there. There's no doubt about it. But there's a lot of great ones.
The first night I saw him, I'll never forget it because me and Dad looked at each other and said,
Look what Kelly's got.
we both said, who the heck is this guy?
Well, the first time I seen IK3, he was 6 years old. So
Yeah.
He came out that night. We was at the Dub, but we never seen him.
No.
And he comes out, walks to the concession stand, grabs a bottle of water, sits down.
We had seen him before. We didn't know him.
Well, yeah, we'd seen him in a mask and didn't know
We
it.
didn't know who it was. He beat the hell out of
Dex.
beat the hell out of Dex for 10 minutes, and then Dex got the win, but we didn't know who it was.
It was that DCCW show. He was under a mask. We
Yeah.
didn't know who it was.
We
We was
didn't
trying
know.
to figure out who it was.
Because this dude looks
We actually thought it might have been Blake Wright in
Yeah.
the mask at first. We was like, is that Blake in the mask? And then we ended up figuring it out later on.
Yeah. And then we go to the show at the Dub, like he says, and I'm sitting here, and I'll be honest with you. I said, who is this clown? he got a white T-shirt on. He didn't look like a wrestler.
Oh, wow, boy, they made you eat your words, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. And he just beat the hell out of Dutch Boy Platinum. I felt bad for Dutch Boy Platinum. I said, what the hell is going on? And who is this dude? And then somebody finally told us who he was, because I didn't have any idea. He says, man, it's too hot in here. He said, I'm parched. He goes to the concession stand, gets water. He's drinking
He
water.
always goes to the concession stand.
He turns to the fans. He said, don't you think it's hot in here? And I'm like, what's this dude doing?
And he's whooped his ass.
He just destroyed him. And I was a son of a.
He's posed for me many times, too, because he'll get in the ring, he'll beat him up, he'll point at him, he goes, ready? What did Kelly put down?
Kelly versus Wiley.
Hey,
In a cane match. Your cane against his.
yeah,
Hey, I'm sure we can get that set up,
Yeah.
Kelly.
He'll just take his shirt off and blind her, and that'll be the end
that's
of
true.
it.
I'm sure we get DCCW or WCWO to put that on.
Justin
She
Dangerous
said no. She ain't doing it. What? What?
She gonna make a popsicle out of.
She said something, but I don't know what she said.
She'll make a popsicle a whole while with that cane.
Roy says hysterics versus Hadley. And then Justin Danger says he's worked with Omen and IK3 and enjoyed both very much.
Yeah, those guys are solid. All of them.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Chris, if you're still out there,
go ahead.
if Higby's still out there, I'm gonna put you on the spot, man. If you would you even entertain a match somewhere? Not saying AACW, or let's say AACW, or let's say DC, wherever. Would you entertain that type of match? Would that be possible on your behalf? I know you can't speak for the other side, and I'm not taking anybody's side because I don't know both party sides. And usually, it's like most things. There's three sides to every story, and it's probably somewhere in the middle. So maybe he's not going to respond.
Well, he might.
He might in a minute, yeah. But just I think I think we all three can agree there's a story there. Big Glenn versus David Kraft. That's not fair. You're gonna take out his bad knee.
Yeah. Well, Glenn's been trying to get them two harass each other. There is a love-hate there. They're gonna jab each other. It's pretty.
He could wear his that Colts outfit. That is Pacer outfit. Yeah, Road Warrior Pacer outfit and beat the heck out of David.
Hey, Dave says that knee's getting better, so hey, you never know. He might fill up to it after he gets a full recovery.
He said he would consider it.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I got to watch my words. Stipulations would have to be put in place.
Oh yeah,
agreements by both sides. I mean,
for both sides. Yeah, I mean, there's a story there, and I think it'd be honestly, Marcus. Don't you think it'd be a good match?
Yeah, I know it would be.
So
it's just too much politics going on with that, and I know me and Chris talked even today about it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Well, you know me, Marcus. I like matches with stories. I like storylines. That's the kind of stuff I like. Okay, what are you asking, Damien?
Wait, what did I miss something?
Well, what I brought up was that the very first match that I brought up on my card was I would like to see Chaos versus Ricky Most Wanted Guns. I think there's a story there, and I'd like to see it worked out and see it happen. I think there's a lot of story there, and would be great for a show, whether it was AACW or if it was somewhere else. Especially, it would be a great story for AACW.
He said, I left for a second. What did I come into?
Oh, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot or cause trouble. I'm really not. I'm just stating that I think.
Well, that's when wrestling's at its best. A lot of times is when there's
some truth to it and there's some story to it.
Yeah, because that's how Christian Cash and Justin Terrell made theirs work so well. They threw so much story into that.
I think there's a story to be told with, and I've told him, and it's old school stuff, and I'm not going to go into the storyline, but I think there's a big story that could be done with Dalton Love and Lily Love. I think there's ways to use Lily to tell great stories.
Oh, you wouldn't believe the stuff. Who have I talking to? Anyhow, yeah, that's batted around in I think it was Roger and me were talking about. Oh, boy, they need to use Lily a little different because there's so many angles you could use her in.
There's tremendous stories that could be told with her. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, you'd have to before you even had it, and he knows that. Me and Chris have talked quite a bit of detail on this, and I think it would be good for all parties involved.
And well, hell, I don't care if somebody gets mad. I'll state my opinion. I think
Did
Do that?
you on Wiley?
I don't think
Did you say yes? Yeah,
Next
she said it.
bill.
Okay, I wasn't sure what she said. She just walked in the room.
We'll kill.
I
That'd
won't-
be the end of Wiley.
Yeah, he's got to leave his shirt on. That's a stipulation.
I don't blame you. Because if he's taking his shirt off, I'm not staying.
He's gonna do a dance in front of you.
Oh no.
Did you see what Mike King did to me in the locker room the other day when I was at WCWO? He did that
No,
stupid
I
dance he did in front of Kelly. I'm sitting there commentating. He walks up beside me, and I'm looking over like,
That don't surprise me. You never know what Mike's going to do.
I'm gonna probably. What the hell? I'm gonna probably make some people mad, but so what? I think that the Chaos and Most Wanted Ricky Guns is a story that would be great for all parties involved. And I don't know what's going on with Chaos's career. He's not at ACW. He's going to other places that I'm not going right now. I haven't been to those places, so I can't say about that. But the direction that Guns has went and what they're doing right now, just my opinion, I don't think it's working. That's just my opinion. And I mean, now in 2 or 3 months, it may be working. But just my opinion, what they're doing right now is not working. And I think there's a story there that would be good for all parties. And I think it would be tremendous. And I think the crowd would eat it up if it's done.
no, it's got to be done.
That's just my opinion. And I'm not a professional wrestler. I've never booked professional wrestling. I've just watched it for 50 years.
See, and that's what
So
I
it's
say.
just my opinion. That's all I'm giving. I'm not trying to make anybody mad. If I am offending anybody, I apologize because I'm not trying to.
And I say that a lot too. I've never been in the ring as an active wrestler ever. And I see it in a lot of stuff. And no, I've never done it. So, but I respect what's being done. And I agree 100% with what Tony just said.
Hey, and I've been in the ring once, and that was the accepting award here the other day. And I'm never getting in the ring again because I about broke my hip trying to get in the damn ring because they didn't have no stairs. I'm too old. And so.
Well, you're so short. You almost have to jump up there to get in there.
Yeah, I take a leap.
Hey, we thought about you on Friday because they make fun of Kelly because she's standing next to the micros and she ain't much taller than everybody. Says, hey, just think if Tony was standing over there, they wouldn't know which one was the guy getting his picture or if he's part of the roster. Or...
Oh yeah, they thought you were part of the roster.
Yeah, probably would have.
And then we got to laughing about the jockey picture. So
No, I went to the horse track. They thought I was a jockey. So
I'm serious. You guys ever get a chance to see the Micro Wrestling Federation? It is a little expensive, but it is well worth every single dollar you spend. That is the hardest working company I've ever seen. We got there 2 hours before show time. They pulled up. They brought that ring truck in. They had the ring up in 30 minutes because every one of them helped put it together. That was the ring, the barricades, the chairs, the merch area. And yeah, they know how to work, they know how to speak. I mean, seriously, I can't.
They're going to be in.
Well, they're going to be in Lafayette on the 21st in a bar, but that's standing room only. I don't suggest that because,
nope.
Lord. And then they're going to be in Martinsville on the day after the Jay County Fair.
So that's the 11th, January 11th.
Somebody else said they're going to be another fair.
July 11th.
I think another fair somewhere at the end of July in the state.
Okay.
Now, that's the Micro Wrestling Federation. There is another one called Midget Wrestling Warriors. But the Micro Wrestling Federation is the one me and Kelly support.
Yep.
Nothing against the other groups. It's just these are our people. We know them. They know us. And, yeah.
If it's okay, can I ask you what you paid for this last show? You paid for a ticket?
Of course, we had to have front row. General admission was $20, and we got ringside for $40.
Okay.
But if you're in Pigeon Forge, general admission is $30, and ringside is $50.
Okay.
But it is, and even if you can't afford ringside, general admission second row, and you still get a good shot, a good seat. So
every time we've gone, I've not seen any bad.
And the bikers, and like I said, the bikers. Well, we were waiting. What do you think? 30, 40 bikers showed up. They had that whole section.
Oh, they had two or three rows full.
And they all had good seats, and they enjoyed their time. And Yeah, they don't put on a bad show. They are fantastic people. Like I said, they show nothing but respect. They were very hospitable. That's the word I was looking for earlier. To Kelly and I, they were glad to see us. Yeah, and see the micro wrestlers wrestle every night somewhere, and they got two groups. Where those other companies, and again, if anybody's watching, I'm not dogging them. They don't put on a show, but maybe 2-3 times a month. The micros, I don't know where they're at tonight, but they have an A team and a B team, or team 1 and team 2.
Last night or tonight they're in Kentucky. I think.
Yeah, Kelly seems to think they went down to Kentucky and then they'll be back up here later in the week. And so there's my plug for my guys and my gals. They are fantastic
They were in
people.
Michigan and Illinois before us.
Yeah, they were in Michigan before they came down to Kokomo, and they run out of Pigeon Forge, but not as much as they used to, but they still do. And if you ever get down there, even if you can't go see the show, see the Microtorium. The outside of the building is fantastic.
Yeah. Billy Buzz. He likes Sky Lolo. I like Sky Lolo too.
But now I've plugged the micros, but they're good people.
Every time I think of him now, I'm thinking that damn Tuesday Night Titans.
But yeah, he was drunker than hell. Yeah, I don't know, Billy, if you've seen the Tuesday Night Titans, but I don't know if you have or not, but check out the Tuesday Night Titans with the wedding, where they had the who was it get married? Was it Mad Dog Vachon or Paul Butcher Vachon? Paul, I think it was Paul.
I can't remember. It was one of those guys.
No, it was Vachon. Check out that one, and it is you'll laugh until you can't laugh no more. It is
Man.
some of the worst TV I've ever seen, but some of the best
Yeah,
TV.
that stuff was terrible. I mean, I can't believe how bad that stuff was. But you talk about funny.
Oh, funny. That Sky Lolo stuff and oh yeah, it's unbelievable.
You're right, Chris.
They were who was it that was pouring beer on them? And
It was Schultz, wasn't it?
Probably.
yeah, it was Schultz.
David Schultz kept messing with it.
Promoters need to take, and I told a promoter, I won't say who, the promoters need to take your company, wait for the micros to show up, and watch them do what they do from setup to teardown. And if you don't believe me and you want actual wrestling, Drew Skills, do you know Drew Skills?
Yes.
Was there from start to finish Friday night because he's friends with them also. And if you need backup, Drew Skills, if you want a wrestler to tell you, he feels he's envious of them because they're doing what he wants to do. Travel the country and wrestle.
Yeah, Drew is a great wrestler in his own right, and actually did commentary with us at one of Walter's shows.
Yeah. So
one
if you don't believe me, he was there the whole time too.
And all right. Well, I think we're about done. The topic for next week, if I remember right, we was going to do our kind of 6 months review of
Now, we're doing matches? Are we going ahead and doing like a mid top 5?
I didn't know if we just doing. We could just put down, not do a top 5 or anything, just things that stood out to you, shows that stood out to you, matches, moments,
Right.
that type of thing. Things you like, if it's something you didn't like. I mean, not oh, this guy sucks.
We'll go there.
No, not that bad. But,
That's pretty cool. You remember when Hogan had that on TV? Micro Championship Wrestling. I think that's what that was called.
Yep.
Him and
I think all three of us would have the same thing that sucks, and that would be Wiley. But
well, no, I've had promotions that we know who are that I'm not going to announce. But
that you have been less than thrilled with.
Well, the one that we had I guess we didn't have bad experience, but it's one everybody talks about.
Yeah, and if we about every interview we do, somebody's had something to do with it. I'm like,
well, that didn't happen this year though.
No, not this year.
But you want to hear a story? I don't know if you heard, but that place you're talking about, that ring, is from there. Joey bought that ring from that company, and that ring we seen Saturday was where you're talking.
That's Mike's ring.
Yeah, that's the ring that Mike.
Yeah, that's Mike King's ring.
Okay, well, he bought it off of
Yep.
the No Name.
Yep.
We will not even. Yeah.
And who knows if it was even his reign? Who knows?
Maybe it was commandeered. I know years ago, and I think Damien DeVille, Justin Danger, if they remember right, there was a promoter in Kokomo that ran a supercard that didn't pay his people, that locked himself in the dressing room or his office, that had to have a police escort in the building, commandeered the ring because he couldn't pay the rent on the building either. And those guys should remember because it was in their area, and I think they may have even been on the card for all I know.
Oh man, I actually Calcert's actually talked about that some on when he was on our show before.
You know, it's there was the Johannic Civic Center. I think Ivy Tech's got that building now or something, but
somebody was mentioning on there just a second ago about Schultz and his guns. I think it was Glenn. The episode with David Schultz, which and his wife and kids is no way they could do like anything like that on TV now.
Yeah, he shoots that gun up to the ceiling.
See,
David DeVille knows that he's got his lip zipped. He knows what I'm talking about. I actually got the poster out in the garage.
Really?
For the second one. I don't know how that guy, he pulled it off twice. He had one year, then he had a second. I don't know how he ever pulled the second one off, but the second one's the one that went terribly south. So
A guy done something like that here in Muncie as well.
Marcus, do you have any shows you're going to this weekend?
yeah, micro. Nope, that was last week. Don Basher Memorial Weekend. Friday and Saturday. It's going to be back of the dub outside, weather permitting. This will be the third annual Don Basher Memorial Weekend. We'll be at both shows, as long as things work out here. But because we got a funeral thing, not directly involving us, but possibly. So
yeah,
that's our goal. Right now, we don't see a problem with being at either one, right? Yeah, Don Basher is a good man, but there's a lot of shows going this weekend. Well, not a lot of shows. There's only like 5 that I came up with, but some big time stuff.
Yep.
We're running in Jeffersonville on Friday. Another group's running in Indy on Friday. Then you have Summit Pro running 2 shows on Saturday.
We're a pro on Sunday.
Yes. I was thinking, I think there's another one in there. Warrior Pro on Sunday. They also have a WCWO free show on Sunday.
What's his name? I think World's Finest has one this weekend. I think, don't they?
It might be. I know they had one coming up soon.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I said. I knew there was more. It's still earlier in the week.
So I think theirs is this.
Might be right. Yeah.
Saturday in Connorsville.
There might be a show in Warsaw. They run about every other weekend.
They
were last week, so they won't be till next week.
Okay.
Don't forget, here in about 10-15 minutes, we'll be airing the WCWO DCCW show from Saturday at the Muncie Juneteenth Festival.
Recommend you guys check it out.
Check that out. It won't be on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Because on Facebook we got mute to sound and stuff. So we don't mess with it on Facebook anymore. So they'll be on YouTube here in just about 10-15 minutes. You have anything else?
I'm good to go.
Marcus, do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good to go too.
All right, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo'S Sports Room. Also, like and follow on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all at Gonzo'S Sports Room. It's where we post all the information about our upcoming shows. We'll be back Monday with another episode of G.W.R. And like I said, here in about 10-15 minutes, somewhere around there, I'll be starting the stream for the WCWO DCCW Wrestling for the Juneteenth Festival this Saturday here in Muncie. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and we'll see you guys next week.
Everybody have a good night.
That'd be absolutely devastating.
This is Joey Owens' show. They've been trying to get me on this broadcast forever, and this is the worst damn broadcast I've ever been on. So you all can kiss my